Welcome to SALS Essentials, Academic Writing at College. My name is Leslie Lindstrom, and I'm a writing specialist at SALS.
And my name is Eric Gustafsson, and I'm also a writing specialist, and my role is ESL specialist at SALS.
In this video, we're going to address your professor's expectations. We're going to talk about the types of writing you can expect at college, how to use assignment rubrics, give you an overview of your responsibilities as a college student, address some common student questions, and point you towards some resources for help with your academic writing.
We'll begin by discussing your professor's expectations of you in your academic writing at college. So the first point to be aware of is your professors expect you to be responsible for your own learning. They would expect you to do the necessary studying and asking questions, making notes, and following instructions. Okay? And when you don't know what to do, you need to ask for help. That's your responsibility. Professors also expect you to work well in groups and individually. They know that group work is a common element of working in jobs in society, and so you want to develop these skills, but you'll also be expected to work individually. They want you to be able to communicate well in spoken and written English. So if there's any challenge with your writing or your speaking, that's when you need to seek help, either from your professors or from SALS. Professors expect you to have strong academic integrity. They expect your work to be your own. They expect you to use proper referencing, whether it's APA or MLA or any of the other types that are used at college. Primarily in Durham College, APA and MLA are the two most common types of referencing that are used to avoid plagiarism. But honesty is the key here, so academic honesty, whether it's for avoiding plagiarism or doing your own work or following the instructions. Be active and interactive in your course. So make sure that you're volunteering, you're asking questions, you're offering your input, especially in group work. Ask questions when you don't understand. This is really important. Sometimes we get used to the idea of not asking questions, just figuring it out yourself. But there are times when asking questions is not a weakness. It actually helps the professors to understand where you are in the learning process. So it's a form of feedback. It's also important to be aware that if you have the questions, then they're important for you. And likely other students will need the information as well. You'll also be expected to develop your critical thinking and problem-solving skills. These are skills that will help you in your work environment. So this is an opportunity for you to use your time in your courses to develop these skills. An example of this would be if your professor had discussed example A and example B during your course, and then in a test, you're wondering which one it's going to be, and you open the test and find out that it's example C, but you've never seen example C. The expectation is that you can apply what you've learned from A and B and put it together to problem solve example C. Be able to give presentations about what you've learned. So presentation skills are an important part of your education. You'll be using them throughout your courses, but you'll also need them when you start job searching and later in your work as you present your ideas to colleagues or clients. So it's really important, if you're not comfortable presenting, that you develop those skills while you're in college. Professors also expect you to understand that they're a partner in your learning process. It's probably best to think of them as a tour guide in your learning process, where they can direct your attention to important aspects and examples, but it's your job to do the learning. You're also expected to be respectful towards your professors and classmates in your speaking and behavior. You're expected to submit your work on time. Punctuality for your courses as well is important, whether they're online or in person. Ultimately, professors expect that you'll be successful in your courses and your program. All of your professors and the staff at the college are here to help you succeed in your program. So make sure that you ask them the questions that you need and make use of all the services around you, and you'll be fine.
So I want to give you an overview of some of the types of writing you can expect to do at college. First of all, essays. You likely have some experience writing essays from high school, and essays at college will often include a fair amount of research. And that's not the only type of writing, however. So you may also be asked to write reports, and those could be business reports, technical reports, or lab reports. And one of the big differences between essays and reports is that reports use headings to organize the information, to make it easier for the reader to find the information. Another type of writing is reflective writing. So you may be asked to write about an experience that you've had and write about what you think was handled correctly and what was handled incorrectly, or what you did well, what you could improve upon. It's almost like you're looking in a mirror and you're looking at what happened and then really thinking about what you could improve upon for the next time. You'll also be asked to do discussion posts on DC Connect. That gives you a chance to engage with your professor and your classmates. It could be that the professor posts a question and students are expected to respond. It also could be that students are asking questions of each other and responding to each other's discussion posts. Discussion posts often are not research-based. Sometimes they are, but they're more of a chance to have a dialogue with your classmates and professor. You'll also be expected to email, and the email may be between you and your professor, it may be between you and your classmates or your group members, and so on. In all cases, the types of writing that you'll be doing, whether it's essays, reports, reflections, discussion posts, or emails, the expectation is that you'll be writing respectfully, professionally, and correctly. What you'll see on this slide is a sample rubric. Rubrics are marking guidelines, and it gives you a chance to see what the expectations are, what your professor is asking you to do, and then giving you specific criteria to follow to meet those expectations. So you can see that there are 5 columns across the top, ranging from substandard, which is less than 50%, to exceptional, which is an A. Down the left column, you'll see the various criteria that you're being evaluated on. So for this particular assignment, 40% of the mark is for your analysis. And that analysis includes research, it includes the support of your paper's thesis, and strong evidence of critical thinking, which Eric referred to before. And so rubrics are organized more or less the same way. Criteria can be across the top or it can be across the side. This one's set up more or less the same, and instead of using sort of letter grades, there's numbers assigned. So 5, 10, 15, and 20. But again, the criteria is down the left, and it's indicating, for instance, how relevant is the material that you've written to the particular psychology class. So using the rubric to help guide your writing and keeping that rubric right beside you is a really important strategy to keep in mind. You know exactly what's being asked of you, and you're able to meet those expectations. The same thing for the bottom part. This is more for the presentation part. Again, the criteria is down the left, and those marks 5, 10, 15, and 20 tells you really what you have to do in order to achieve those maximum marks. So there's not really any guesswork. The professor specified, we want to give you a good mark, but this is what you have to do to achieve that good mark. And so use the rubric, keep it beside you, use it throughout as you're completing the assignment to stay on track.
So just like you have your professor's expectations, there are some expectations you need to have for yourself. And there will be overlap between what you're expected to do and what you can expect to happen. And you'll notice that this idea of asking questions when you don't understand is a reoccurring theme. This will come back to you quite often because it's so important. You're also expected to prepare well for your classes. Preparation might include reading a chapter of a textbook before the class. Make sure that you're on time for your class, whether it's online or in person. You also need to remember to follow up with your professor if you miss something. So if you have an appointment or you're not able to go to the class one particular day, then be sure to follow up with classmates, but more importantly with your professor, to let them know that you're engaged in the learning process and trying to make up for any missed time. Of course, you're expected to be respectful and professional when communicating with your classmates and professor. And you're expected to complete all your assignments and assessments on time. Sometimes that can be quite challenging because you may well have multiple assignments and assessments happening around the same time. So managing your time will be really important. And you're expected to participate in classes and in group work. We're going to look now at some common student questions, especially around the topic of writing in college. These are the questions that students often ask us as they're coming into the system. So in this case, Leslie and I will both contribute to the answers because we're both writing specialists and we have our own perspectives, but I'll read the first question. How is writing in college different from in high school?
One of the big differences, I would say, is that there's going to be a variety of writing you'll be expected to do in college, and it really depends on the type of program or which program you're in. So if you're in a business program, for instance, you might be doing a lot of reports and case studies and things where you have to analyze various business scenarios. If you're in the nursing program, you're going to be doing a lot of reflective writing, and you'll be doing scientific writing as well and coming up with care plans for patients. So there's really, I would say there's a huge variety of writing that you'll be expected to do at college. They'll mostly be research-based, and so that might be different where you're going to be expected to do a lot of academic research, and you're going to be expected to learn from each experience. So where maybe you get some practice initially doing a reflection, and maybe you've never done reflective writing before, the expectation is that you're developing those skills. So you're not going to be, for instance, usually, reading a book or reading Shakespeare and then writing an essay about that. That's going to be a very unusual situation in college. A lot of times the writing in college is to give you a chance to demonstrate your understanding of something, but also to prepare you for the workplace. So the writing is going to be at an academic and professional level, and it is going to vary depending on the program. You'll be given very, I would say, clear instructions on what's expected of you, and remember the rubric is really going to be your friend as you're working through, especially those first assignments. But throughout, you'll be given clear guidelines on what's expected from you. Okay, so the next question is, will I be taught APA or MLA referencing in class? That's a common one. What are your thoughts on that, Eric?
I think in some programs, for example, nursing, APA is a very big part of it, and it goes to avoiding plagiarism and being accountable. And so because it's such a big part of the program, they do spend some time in class teaching it, but students still struggle with it. So I would say there is some onus on the student to make sure that you know the rules, because especially in that program, they're very strict and they look at the formatting and all the aspects of APA. Whereas in other programs, they might be a little less strict. And what I mean by that is your professor might say to you, they don't mind which type of referencing you use as long as you use one of them. And then the onus would be up to you to use it, which means learning it yourself. So, if you have questions about APA or MLA, and these are the two most commonly used reference styles in the college, if you have questions, there's lots of resources. You can always ask your professor if it's a quick question about how to reference for this particular source. You can have an appointment with SALS. You can go to the library and talk to a librarian.
Yeah, and we'll be running APA and MLA referencing workshops, virtual workshops throughout the semester. And as Eric said, there are resources in SALS Online to support you with that. So if you're feeling a bit shaky on it, or maybe you've only used MLA in high school and now your program is requiring APA, you will either be taught it or you'll have resources available for you to access.
And the thing about APA and MLA is that you don't necessarily have to learn and remember all of the different aspects. You need to learn how to follow the guides. So there are guides available through the library for both styles, and you need to learn how to reference the type of source you're using and to do it accurately. And you don't want to lose careless marks. Becoming familiar with the guides is going to be very helpful to you. Okay, I'll read the next question. I'm worried about my writing skills. What can I do right now to start improving?
Well, I would say by watching this video, you're already well on your way. You've shown a commitment to trying to at least understand what's expected of you at college. If you think back to the types of challenges you had before, if you're worried about them, is it that you're worried about your grammar? Is it that you're worried about referencing? Is it that your teachers in the past have said that your writing is choppy? Is it that you're concerned about your vocabulary? So as far as starting to improve, thinking back to what is it that you're worried about? Definitely checking out some of the resources in SALS Online. You can start doing that even before you have your first assignment. You can, once you've thought about what challenges you've experienced or what you're worried about, you can use SALS Online, the writing section, to help you with your grammar, or look at the referencing section to give you a bit of an idea about referencing requirements. You could book an appointment with a SALS staff member. You can meet with me or with Eric, and we can look at what particular concerns you have. Is it that you don't know how to get started on an assignment? Is it that you haven't done an essay in a very long time? Sometimes people worry about things when they don't know what's coming up. So you could make an appointment to meet with one of us, and we could explain some of the expectations specific to your program. Those are some things I think you could do even before you're given an assignment. Think about what the challenges are for you, look at some resources in SALS Online, and then also reach out for an appointment for some guidance on expectations and how to navigate college writing.
Yeah, and I would also say that students often worry that their writing isn't formal or professional. The one problem is if students start to write at a level that's above their ability, the message can sometimes be confusing to the professor. And if the message is confusing, they won't be able to give you grades for your understanding. So what I would say in that case is, in the beginning, simple and clear is better. You always want to work on improving your skills. So you pay attention to how the professors write, how they speak, start to use language from the course, terminology from your course, the way the professor's using it. If you can show the professor that you do understand, they can give you some marks for your understanding, whereas you may lose some marks for your writing skills. The majority of marks are for your understanding.
I would also add too, I just thought of this, it's not so much before you start writing, but as you get assignments back, make sure you're paying attention to the feedback so that you are continually developing your skills. So if you lose marks for how clearly you're writing or some of your grammar and so on, use that as a chance to learn and to develop those skills. So really paying attention to the feedback, the professors will give you comments, and we can give you feedback as well. Use that feedback to help you develop your skills and improve your confidence. Perfect. Okay, so the next one, actually, you've sort of started to touch on this already, Eric, but what help is available for ESL students?
Yeah, so my role is the ESL specialist. So this is where Leslie will see students who have English as their native language, their first language, and I see students who have English as their second language or additional language. And aside from everything we've talked about relating to writing, so APA or MLA referencing, or even starting an assignment, all of the different things related to writing, vocabulary building, grammar, punctuation, spelling, all of those things are things that I help students with. But in addition to that, anything where English language is causing a problem. So if it's in writing, for example, or if it's in speaking, pronunciation, presentation, those types of things I can also help students with. I also have something called the Conversation Circle. So this is where ESL students could join to just relax and practice their English, talking about things that they want to talk about. One other point that I help students with is with something called acculturation. So this is where if a student is new to Canada or new to the college system in Canada, so the student is used to a different type of education system or from another culture, I help students learn to navigate through what's expected here in Canada or in Canadian college system. Okay, and the last question we'll discuss, where can I get my writing edited?
That's a question that comes up a lot. So we will not edit your work, and nor will the peer writing tutors. Nobody at SALS will fix your work. What we will do is we will help you. It's called editing skills instruction. We'll teach you how to identify your mistakes and teach you how to fix them. You can meet with us and we will help you develop those skills. And that will help you become a better writer. If we were to just fix your work, you're not going to develop those skills. So it takes patience, it takes time. We will meet with you and help you develop those skills, but we will not fix the paper for you.
And the other thing to note about that is we can look at your work and we use your work as a tool to teach editing. So you can bring essays and reports and things to show us, but instead of us fixing it, we'll teach you how to fix it. That's probably a key difference. Okay, so where can you get more help with this topic? Of course, you can talk to your professors. We always recommend that your professors are your first line of support. So feel free to ask questions when you don't understand and make a connection. Build a rapport with your professors so you feel comfortable to approach them through email or online or in person to be able to approach them and ask questions. There are a number of SALS online workshops available that you could work through at your own pace, in your own time, and topics include things like editing skills, punctuation, grammar, getting started on essays, referencing and research, and various other writing-related workshops. So be sure to check what we have and perhaps consider taking some of those workshops in your own time. And upon completion, you get what's called a certificate of completion that if your professor, for example, has required you to take a workshop, that would be the evidence that you could show your professor to prove that you've done that. Book an appointment with a SALS writing or ESL specialist. As I mentioned, Leslie is the writing specialist and I'm the ESL specialist. And basically, when you book an appointment, you contact SALS and tell them you'd like some writing help. The reception will guide you to the appropriate support, whether it's a workshop or an appointment or a peer writing tutor, for example. But they'll connect you with the appropriate support. Right now, we're doing appointments virtually, so you can show us your assignments at any point in your process, so we can help you understand what the assignment's asking. We can go through the instructions and the rubric with you. Or if you've already finished it, we can give you feedback about your grammar and punctuation and teach you editing skills. We can help with the referencing and research. So lots of things that we can do. The difference for ESL is all of that is included, the writing support, but in addition, as I mentioned earlier, so I can help students with academic reading strategies, pronunciation, presentation skills. So there's a lot of support there that can help with your English language. You can virtually drop in to meet with a peer writing tutor. And peer writing tutors are helpful to us in that if we're busy with appointments, then they're another option that you can meet with and get generalized feedback about your writing. If you needed more specific instruction about grammar or other parts of writing, then they would refer you to Leslie or myself. Other campus resources include your student advisor. If you're thinking about dropping or adding a course, always contact your student advisor to discuss your plan. ASC is the Access and Support Center for students who need accommodations for an exceptionality. The library I mentioned earlier can help with referencing and research, and there are many other sources and other services available to you to support your success at the college. Consider connecting with us on any of these social media platforms. And if you have any questions or comments relating to this video, please feel free to contact us. We'd love to hear from you. Thank you for watching the video and listening to Leslie and me, and good luck this semester.
And I want to echo that. Thanks very much, and good luck with your studies.